Iran is holding funeral ceremony for Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. His mortal remains have been kept at Tehran's Grand Mosalla, where millions of people have gathered to pay their final respects. Chants of death to America and Israel resounded, with red flags of vengeance covering the entire courtyard of the Grand Mosalla. All the top personalities from the military to civilian leadership participated. Iran's parliament speaker, the IRGC commander, the Quds Force chief, the foreign minister, the president, the chief justice paid their final tributes to the late supreme leader. But one person remained missing. Iran's new supreme leader and Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son did not appear in public. However, Khamenei's other three sons attended the service. Processions are planned through the capital on Monday. Authorities are expecting more than 10 million people to take part in the ceremonies in Tehran. According to a report by the New York Times, meanwhile, Iranian security officials rejected the new supreme leader's request to attend the burial of his father. They fear he could be tried to be attacked or Israel will try to kill him or track him back to his sanctuary. In fact, he has not been seen in any new image since being injured in the strike that killed his father. The leadership of Iran's axis of resistance also paid their tributes to Khamenei, these including Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Different verses of the Quran were played for each delegation, but they carried the same sentiment: martyrdom, unbroken pledges to God and victory. For countries like Russia, China, India, verses about righteousness, reassurance and reward were played. The verse that was played for the Saudi Arabian delegation caught everyone's attention, it seems. The passage described the Battle of Badr, a symbolic message placing Iran on the side backed by God. From Tehran, Khamenei's remains are expected to be taken to Qom, Najaf and Karbala, the great Shiite centers of Iran and Iraq, before being laid to rest on Thursday in Mashhad, home to the country's holiest pilgrim shrine. The burials were meant to be conducted within a day of deaths in Islam, but because of the risks of holding a big funeral during the war, it was postponed until after last month's interim truce deal was agreed. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he was surprised to see the Iranians cry at the funeral of Khamenei in Tehran, saying that he believed that people hated him. Trump further said, I'm quoting, "Maybe they were fake tears." and as we continue to monitor the latest coming in from on the ground, let's also get in further perspectives. With us on the broadcast, research fellow at the Center for Iranian Studies, SOAS, University of London. Thanks very much for being here on the broadcast. Welcome to WION. Let me begin by asking you to tell us more about the significance of what we are witnessing. Also, the fact that the new Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son, has not attended the ceremony due to security concerns.
And it's a parody of Mojtaba Khamenei with a cardboard effigy that was paraded around for the funeral ceremony's start on Friday. That needs to be pointed out. A complete flattened image, which tells you in more ways than one of how this entire spectacle is going to be conducted throughout the week. You rightly mentioned that in Islamic rites, funerals must be swiftly conducted upon death. And obviously it could not, given the war over the ensuing months. But even with that contingency aside, what strikes me as a historian of Iran is the sheer cultic, garish display that we are seeing and will continue seeing until the final internment in Mashhad towards the end of this week. There is precious little which can be conventionally called Islamic in the rites and the contrivance of this ceremony being conducted by the regime, which has more than a few elements of ethno-Persian nationalism larded into, literally shoehorned into an Islamic theological straitjacket. Most Muslims, especially Islam's predominant Sunni majority, would not recognize this as an Islamic funeral in more ways than one, and they would be justified in doing so. And in stating so, they would not be necessarily prejudiced because it's a Shia funeral, because most Shia funerals are even not conducted like this. That is what strikes me as a historian first and foremost. Then you have the question of busting individuals, the country's internet being shut down once again. Transport has come to a grinding halt across Tehran in order that mourners can officially filter in from all 31 provinces. Well, yes, there are loyalists, and there always have been, even during the war and even during the social protests from December onwards. But they barely constitute more than 15 to 20% of the populace at large. So this is contrived in more ways than one, and it is an artificial funeral. I'm inclined to also point out Khomeini's funeral on 11th June 1989. Now that must be seen in a different light, because of course Khomeini was a larger-than-life figure of the father of the revolution, and he died exactly a decade after Iran went Islamic in June 89, and Iran became Islamic a republic in February 79. And at that funeral, at least a sixth of the Iranian population did turn up. And of course, there were histrionics present at that funeral too, due to the heat in question, just like we see it now today, but also because Khomeini was deemed an imam and almost eulogized even in lifetime and now in death, and people went to tear out shrouds of the cadaver and so on and so forth, which was ungainly at best, as you can imagine. That won't take place with Khamenei because he's not such a larger-than-life figure. He was completely theologically and Islamically a lightweight in succeeding Khomeini into the post of supreme leader. But there is that distinction that needs to be pointed out, that at that time, a sixth of the Iranian population had turned up on 11th June 89. We do not see that here. Of course, we do see the heat wave across Tehran and parts of the Middle East currently going on, and 4,000 individuals have had to receive medical assistance. So preparations across Tehran logistically are in place for any contingencies, but right. I do not see any further Shia histrionics taking place as they did in June 89.
Right, there's so much to dissect here, right, in terms of also what's happening on the ground and what's happening beyond, because we've looked at also the reaction coming in from Donald Trump, for example. But coming specifically to the images that we are seeing and the sentiment that we are really seeing coming in from on the ground, the chants of death to America and Israel, the flags of vengeance, the red flags of vengeance. What to you really stands out in terms of what we are seeing, what these images really tell us about the significance of what Khamenei meant for the people of Iran in a way?
Well, Khamenei meant to a certain section of the populace a symbol of resistance, and to his apologists in the West and elsewhere in the Third World as a symbol of resistance to the so-called hegemonic West. But all these symbolism and iconic features that you've narrated are par for the course. I mean, this is not just played out at the funeral. You see it every Friday at Tehran University prayers, deaths to America and Israel being chanted, and fists raised in the air, so on and so forth. It is pretty much hackneyed. What we do see here is a beleaguered, tired regime taking one last shot at the West in conducting what it likes to tout as the funeral of the century, which it is not. And in most ways, it's not going to be. There is more than a whiff of contrivance and stage managed to it. It reminds me of Stalin's funeral in March '53, with official, projection of the entire nation mourning as such at the passing of a dictator. Khamenei was a polarizing figure over 36 years. He oversaw Iran's slide into autocracy and repression. And what we now see is with Iran's Third Republic, the onset of the Third Republic from 8th March 2026, when his son was nominated into the position, is that a coup has taken place with the IRGC now calling the shots and the mullahs, the clerisy, now taking a backseat, which is what is a sign of things to come, with the IRGC and its proxies who are calling the shots. And as I've stated before on WION News, and I must iterate over and over again as a historian, Iran has become another Pakistan, a securitized military oligarchy.
We're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for your perspectives here. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.